I sit across the dining table, fingers tracing the rim of my water glass, trying to make sense of what just happened. My mom's eyes sparkle with excitement as she slides a velvet box across to my sister. "Open it, sweetheart," she beams. My sister, Brielle, does, slowly, dramatically, like we're all supposed to gasp. And we do, mostly out of habit. Inside is a custom-made key fob. Gold-plated. The kind that comes with luxury real estate. "Ava," my dad says, turning to me now with an expression that already feels like secondhand pity. "We didn't forget you." He reaches into a manila folder and pulls out a thin piece of paper. "Your name's on this deed. You'll love the freedom." I look down. A parking lot. Not even in a bustling area, just a cracked, weed-ridden slab of asphalt on the edge of town. My breath sticks in my throat. Brielle holds up her key, squealing. It even has a rooftop pool and a chef on call. "You guys are the best." Mom reaches over to pat my hand. "We figured this was more your style. You always did like to do things on your own." "My style?" I blink at the document. No home. No gift. No celebration. Just asphalt and sky. And then Dad chuckles. "You can always sleep under the stars," he snorts, like it's the funniest thing he's said in years. I laugh too, but it's hollow. Brittle. Like if I don't, I might scream. They act like they've done me a favor. I force a smile standing. "Thanks," I say tightly. "I'll make it work." Brielle leans back, tossing her wavy blonde hair. "Maybe put a tent up or something." Glamping, but sad. They all laugh again. I excuse myself, walk out the door, and don't look back. I didn't always feel like the spare part of this family. But over the years, it got clearer. Brielle was the golden child. The debutante. The soft, curated version of who they wished I'd been. Where I had grit, she had grace. Where I built things, she posed next to them. And still, I believed, foolishly, that maybe when it came time for real support, my parents would do the right thing. But that dinner proved me wrong. Again. I stare at the deed in my car. It's creased now from how tightly I've been holding it. Just some coordinates and an address near an old textile plant. A joke, maybe. Or a test. Either way, they gave it to the wrong daughter. 2 weeks later, I drive out to the lot. It's worse than I imagined. Faded stripes, broken glass, weeds pushing through every crack. There's an old wooden fence on one side, and the sign that used to announce parking prices is so sun-bleached, it's unreadable. I park my car right in the middle and get out. I just stand there for a moment, arms crossed, breathing in the faint smell of tar and rust. A black cat darts past. "Well," I mutter. "It's mine." I don't have much, a savings account I built from freelancing gigs, a rusted Honda, and a determination that my family never managed to kill. But what I do have is vision. And this parking lot? It's about to become something they never thought I could create. I start with research. City zoning records. Permits. Small business loans. Turns out, the area is marked for redevelopment. Which means soon, it'll be valuable, but only if I get ahead of it. I work days and nights. I cold call construction crews, attend town hall meetings, even convince a retired architect I met at a local coffee shop to mentor me for free. I put every dollar into cleaning it up, sealing cracks, adding lighting, repainting stripes. At first, it's just a clean lot. But then I install charging stations. Then, pop-up food vendors. Then, weekend markets. The people come. Every week more. It becomes a local thing. Ava's lot, they call it. And me? I'm still sleeping in a studio apartment over a laundromat, but I'm making rent from my lot. And more importantly, I'm building something. With nothing but grit and silence. Brielle doesn't visit. Neither do my parents. But I know they see it. The news covers it after a small local business expo gives me an award for urban revitalization. The anchor smiles while saying my name. Ava Larson. Creator. Owner. Visionary. And then one night, out of the blue, my dad texts me. "We're so proud of what you've done with the space. Your mom and I would love to talk business, maybe a joint venture." I stare at the message. My hands go cold. They want in. On the very thing they gave me as a joke. The thing they once mocked with, "sleep under the stars." Now it's, Let's talk business. I close the message without replying, but I don't delete it. Not yet, because I have something better planned. And they're about to learn that the girl they threw to the curb was the only one who knew how to pave a road. I don't respond to my dad's message. Not because I haven't crafted 100 versions of what I could say. Not because I'm not tempted to send a voice note laughing until it cuts off. But because silence has always been my sharpest weapon. And now it echoes louder than their laughter ever did. Instead, I pour myself into the lot. It's not just pavement anymore. It's a living thing now. On Friday nights, food trucks line the edge: Korean barbecue, tacos, cupcakes shaped like roses. On Saturdays, I host open-air movie nights, setting up a screen that folds into a locked trailer when not in use. People bring bean bags, folding chairs, laughter. Local musicians perform on Sundays. By Monday morning, I'm power washing and repainting, preparing for the next cycle. No one sees the hours I put in, the frostbitten fingers after winter markets, the aching back after moving barriers by myself, the sleep-deprived mornings running numbers before my side gigs. But they see the results. My little parking lot now pulls in more in a week than I used to make in 2 months. And still, I don't touch most of the profits. I'm saving for something bigger. A few weeks later, I get a call. Not a text. A full-blown phone call from my mother. I stare at the screen for a long moment before I answer. "Hi, Ava," she chirps, like we spoke yesterday. "Your father told me you've been doing amazing things with the lot." My voice is flat. "Thanks." "I mean, really," she continues. "You've turned nothing into something. It's inspiring." There's a pause. I know that pause. It's where the real motive lives. "We were actually thinking," she says delicately, "what if we co-branded? A family venture. We could help you expand. Franchise it even. Imagine the Larson Lot experience. All over the state." I sit down slowly. "You want to partner with me?" "Well, yes," she replies, feigning a giggle. "We'd give you the lot. After giving Betrayal a mansion." A beat of silence. "Oh, Ava, that wasn't meant to." "I know exactly what it was meant to do." She clears her throat. "Well, regardless, we're all family. And family builds together, right? Funny how family only remembers the word when there's profit involved." "I'll think about it," I say coolly. But what I'm really thinking is, it's time. Time to show them what happens when you hand the wrong person a challenge and expect them to fail. The following week, I meet with an urban developer. A real one. His name is Derek, and he's been scouting underutilized lots around town for a new idea: affordable micro-retail pods, compact, modular shops for small businesses. He tours my lot with a clipboard in hand, raising his eyebrows as I show him the infrastructure I've already laid out. "You've done more groundwork than most commercial projects I've seen," he says. I smile. I don't wait for anyone's permission. Within 2 months, we ink a deal. He'll help with modular development and design. I'll own majority share, and we'll break ground on converting the lot into a permanent micro-retail village. Coffee huts, book nooks, maker spaces, all under my control. I rebrand it with a new name. The Pad. Short for parking pad. Short for launching pad. Short for, I never needed your villa. Betrayal shows up for the first time in years. She walks through the lot in heels too thin for the pavement and oversized sunglasses that don't quite cover the confusion in her eyes. "Oh my God," she says, spinning slowly. "This is cute." I raise an eyebrow. "Very you," she adds, almost like it's an insult. I cross my arms. "Something on your mind?" She sighs, dropping her sunglasses to hang off her fingers. "Look, I know you're mad. About the house." "I'm not mad." "Well, then what are you?" I smile faintly. "Busy." Her lips twitch, like she's trying to decide if I'm joking. "Anyway," she says quickly, "Mom and Dad were talking about investing. I told them it might be weird, but I thought maybe I could be part of the brand too. I've got marketing experience, remember?" Marketing experience. She's referring to an Instagram account where she takes sponsored photos with teeth whitening kits and protein bars. I say nothing. She reads it loud and clear. "Ava," she says softly, "now we're sisters." That word doesn't land the way she wants it to. Not when I remember being dropped off at community college in a used car while she was flown to Paris to find herself. I tilt my head. You ever sleep under the stars, Brielle? She frowns. What? Never mind. She leaves without getting what she came for. But I get something instead, confirmation. They never cared when I had nothing. And now? They care because they see me becoming untouchable. One night, I host a community awards dinner in the middle of the pad. Local shop owners serve their food. The band plays. The mayor shows up and gives me a certificate of recognition for transforming a neglected corner of our city into a thriving community hub. People cheer. Someone hands me a mic. I clear my throat, standing on a makeshift stage under string lights that crisscross above the crowd. When I was first handed this lot, I begin, voice steady, it was a joke. An afterthought. A few people murmur. But the thing about being underestimated is that it gives you room to grow, without interference, without pressure, without false support. I glance toward the back where I know my parents are standing. They weren't invited, but they came anyway. I let the silence hang in the air before continuing. I turned a slab of concrete into a platform for dreamers. And I did it without anyone holding open a door for me. So if you ever get handed a parking lot when you were hoping for a palace, good. It means you get to build something they can't take credit for. Applause rises. It's real. Earned. My eyes meet my father's from across the crowd. And that's when I know he understands. I don't need their money. Or their approval. Because what I built is mine. The morning after the community awards dinner, I wake up to over 50 new emails. Some are from news outlets wanting to do a local feature on the girl who turned a parking lot into gold. Others are from small business hopefuls asking if there's room for them at the pad. A few, and these make me smile the most, are from teenage girls. Girls who say they were told to be more realistic about their dreams, but after hearing my speech, they're rethinking everything. I reply to everyone, even if it takes me 3 days. Because no one replied to me when I was begging for support. No one answered my calls when I asked for a chance. So I'll be that voice. Even if it's small. Even if it's just an echo. By the following week, we've hit full capacity at the pad. And there's a wait list. Derek and I start scouting for additional locations. One in Midtown, one in the warehouse district. Each time I walk through the empty lots, I see possibility. I see stories waiting to unfold. The concrete feels less like limitation now. It feels like a stage. But just as I'm preparing for the next big expansion, they come back. My father shows up during a Sunday morning setup. He's wearing that same smug expression I remember from years ago, the one that says, I'm still in control, even when he clearly isn't. I heard you're going big, he says casually, hands in his pockets like this is a stroll down memory lane. I finish adjusting a row of folding chairs before even looking at him. And you heard that from? People talk, he says. Especially when there's money involved. There it is. The real reason. I nod slowly. Right. And you've come to offer advice? To offer an opportunity, he corrects, stepping closer. We know people. We can help you go national. But you have to move fast. Trends fade, Ava. Not a trend, I say quietly. A foundation. He waves it off. Semantics. I turn to face him fully. You gave Brielle a villa. You gave me pavement. Why no? His smile slips. Then he says it. We didn't think you'd actually make anything of it. A single breath leaves me. Not anger. Not surprise. Just confirmation. The truth, laid bare like oil on hot asphalt. Thanks for being honest, I say, then gesture toward the exit. Now leave. Ava, you don't get to walk through something you never helped build. He doesn't argue. Just walks away. But I can feel it in the air now. They're not done. That week, the city calls. Some anonymous party has filed a zoning complaint against the pad. Claims it violates local noise regulations. That my structures are permanent and require commercial licensing. That I've created excessive foot traffic in a residential zone. I sit in the back of my car, gripping the phone. Do you know who filed it? I ask the city clerk. There's no name listed, she replies. But it came with a packet of evidence. Photos. Dates. Noise level readings. Someone's been watching me. Closely. I already know who. I don't cry. I don't panic. But that night, I work until 2 a.m. pulling together documentation, business licenses, community petitions, contracts, testimonials from shop owners. I consult 2 different lawyers. I submit formal responses to the complaint. Then I call Derek. We're moving faster, I tell him. I want pad number 2 up by summer. He doesn't ask why. He just says, let's do it. When Brielle texts me a few days later, I'm not surprised. It's a screenshot. A realtor's listing. My parents are selling the villa. The caption underneath reads, family downsizing to relocate near booming business districts. I laugh. They're trying to move closer to me. To my success. To what they dismissed. You okay? Brielle texts again. I debate ignoring her. But instead I type back, I'm thriving. Opening day for pad number 2 is brighter than the sun itself. We've installed overhead sail shades, custom murals from local artists, and even a kids' corner run by a woman named Maria who teaches art therapy out of a repurposed school bus. I stand there, holding scissors in one hand and a ribbon in the other, about to cut the line, when a man approaches with a news camera. Can we get a quote from you? He asks. About how this all started? I nod. And I give him the truth. My parents gave my sister a villa and gave me a joke, I say, locking eyes with the lens. They said I could sleep under the stars. So I built an empire under them instead. Click. Flash. Broadcast. The story spreads. The next morning, I open my inbox. Dozens of new messages again. But one subject line catches my eye. From Mom. I stare at it for a long time before opening it. Just 2 lines. I hope you're happy. We're embarrassed to even show our faces. I stare at the screen. And I feel nothing. Not triumph. Not guilt. Just peace. Because that's what happens when you climb out of the shadow they tried to bury you in. You stop needing their shade at all. The next few weeks move like a blur, but not in the way that overwhelms you, in the way that feels like purpose finally picking up speed. After the interview airs on local television, everything changes. We get emails from community leaders in other cities, Detroit, Dallas, Oakland, asking if I'd consider franchising the pad. Investors start calling, throwing out numbers I never imagined hearing in my lifetime. But I keep my cool. Because this was never about just money. It's about rewriting the script they handed me. Still, I'd be lying if I said the money didn't make certain things feel sweeter. Like hiring Brielle's former interior designer to help turn pad number 2's food court into a colorful pop-up cafe that draws more foot traffic in one day than their whole gated neighborhood probably does in a week. Or finally buying a car that doesn't require duct tape and a prayer to start. Or when I meet with a lawyer to draft the new business license for pad number 3, and I sign my full name on the line that says, Owner. I don't hesitate. I don't shrink. I own this now. In every sense. But just when I think the past has stopped trying to claw its way into my present, it slithers in again. This time through my sister. She shows up at pad number 2 one evening, standing awkwardly by the food truck counter in heels far too high for gravel. Her dress is designer, her expression, not. She looks tired. Like the glimmer of the villa didn't protect her from the rust underneath the life they sold her. I approach cautiously, wiping my hands on a towel. You lost? She lets out a half laugh. You're funny. I don't smile. She continues, I didn't come to fight. I came to talk. I have 10 minutes, I say flatly, motioning toward the back seating area. That's what I give solicitors. She follows without protest. We sit at a picnic table covered in local artists' graffiti, sharp lines, bright colors, raw energy. I feel at home here. She does not. I'm selling the villa, Brielle says. I know, I reply. It's been on the market for months. Yeah. Well, no one wants to pay full price anymore. Not with Mom and Dad acting like fools. I raise an eyebrow. You blaming me for their behavior? No, she says quickly. I'm blaming them. That surprises me. She looks down at her nails, chipped. They're still trying to control me too, Ava. You were just the first to say no. There's a silence between us. Heavy. Not angry. Just complicated. I didn't mean to be their favorite, she adds. You didn't fight it either. Her eyes water slightly. I don't say anything. I don't comfort her. I'm not cruel, but I'm not her crutch either. After she leaves, I sit there long after closing. Under the lights. Under the stars. I remember the joke, you can always sleep under the stars, and how it used to hurt. Now it feels like prophecy. They gave me stars. So I reached them. The next week, I receive an invitation in the mail. Gold-trimmed. Formal. It's a family reunion. Apparently my parents are hosting it on the old estate lawn. The one they used to say was off-limits to kids like me. Under the RSVP section, there's a handwritten note. We'd love for you to speak. You're doing so well now. Let's show the family how far we've come. I reread that line over and over again. We've come. No, I came. They stayed behind. I don't RSVP. Instead, I launch pad number 3 that weekend. And this time, I make it personal. We paint a massive mural on the back wall. It's a girl standing in a cracked parking lot, staring up at a sky full of stars, each one shaped like a dream. And beneath her feet, sprouting from the concrete, a tree blooming with lights. Hope growing where there was once nothing. The ribbon-cutting ceremony draws over 200 people, including teachers from my old high school, a few former classmates, even Derek's mom, who brings a bouquet and cries through the entire event. And standing near the back, trying to blend in, my father, arms crossed, expression unreadable. This time, I don't walk away. I walk straight toward him. You're not invited, I say calmly. He tries to smile. Just wanted to see what you've built. You saw it. Now go. He doesn't move. So I lean in, my voice low. You didn't water this. You don't get to harvest it. And I walk off, because I no longer need his permission to bloom. That night, I sit on the rooftop of pad number 3, overlooking the lights below. Music hums in the distance. Food truck smoke curls into the sky like incense. Laughter bounces off walls made of murals and hope. This was a parking lot. Now it's a pulse. And I created it. With bruised pride and calloused hands. With sleepless nights and cold mornings. With rejection that tasted like ash, and still I rose. Still I built. And now they watch from the sidelines, asking for a share. But they will never own this. Because they never believed in it. They never believed in me. And I no longer need them to. It's strange how success doesn't always silence the voices in your head, the ones planted by people who swore they loved you while teaching you you'd never be enough. Even now, with 3 thriving locations, features in magazines, and a 4th pad in the works, I still wake up some nights wondering if they'll try to take it all back. Not because I think they can, but because they've done worse with less. The letter comes on a Tuesday. It's folded in a thick envelope, hand-delivered to my business mailbox. No return address. No seal. Just a single page inside. We believe we are entitled to shared profits as family stakeholders, considering your business was built on the land we passed on to you. I stare at it for a long time. I don't cry. I don't scream. I just sit there, still, watching the ink blur at the edges from the sweat on my palms. Family stakeholders. Like it's a stock. Like I'm a company instead of a daughter. I call Derek. He meets me at pad number 1 that evening with takeout and a lawyer friend named Tessa who specializes in property disputes and family asset claims. She reads the letter, then looks up at me. Do you still have the deed to the parking lot? Framed in my office, I answer. Her smile is small but confident. Good. Let them try. She walks me through everything, how gifting property without written expectations of returns negates future claims, how we'll need to be prepared for ugly accusations. I'm used to those. Still, I don't want this war. But I'm not backing down. Not again. They file the lawsuit 2 weeks later. Publicly. Suddenly, the same parents who called my son ungrateful are now presenting themselves as visionaries who generously gave their daughter the foundation for her business. The headlines roll in. So do the interview requests. I decline most of them. But there's one I say yes to. A national morning show that wants to do a segment called From Parking Lot to Powerhouse. They say they'll cover the business. I say I'll only do it if they let me talk about how I got here. All of it. The interview goes viral before it even finishes airing. I tell the story plainly. No dramatics. Just the facts. How my parents gifted my sister a luxury villa for graduation while telling me a slab of pavement was character building. How I slept in my car for a week before I could afford a trailer. How they laughed when I painted the first mural on the wall of pad number 1. How they used to introduce me to relatives as our quirky one, the one playing entrepreneur. The interviewer asks, "What would you say to them now if they were watching?" I look into the camera and say, "You gave me concrete. I poured a foundation. Don't come for the house now." They dropped the lawsuit 4 days later. No statement. No apology. Just silence. But I don't need words anymore. I have actions. And every day I unlock the gates of one of my paths, I'm reminded that legacy isn't something you're handed, it's something you build. A year passes. Then another. Pad number 5 opens in Miami. Brielle moves to Austin to start her own wellness studio and sends me a quiet thank you card. I pin it above my desk. Derek and I become more than just business partners. My son starts his first year of college on a scholarship he earned himself and tells me, "You're the reason I never settled, Mom." I cry in the parking lot that night. The same lot they said was worthless. The same ground that raised me. And then one day, I get a call from a local university. They're starting a program on urban renewal and entrepreneurship, and they want to name a new center after me. The Ava Reyes Center for Grit and Growth. I hang up the phone and just sit there. I think about that first night, how cold it was. How lonely. How the sky felt too far. And now? Now it's inside me. I don't need revenge anymore. Because I turned their joke into my kingdom. Their mockery into my movement. Their nothing into everything. And they'll never understand it because they never believed I could rise without them. But I did. Under the stars they gave me. I built a skyline of my own. Success is a strange kind of silence. Not the peaceful kind, the kind that lingers after a storm. The kind that makes you wonder if the next rumble of thunder is just behind the clouds. It's been almost 2 years since they dropped the lawsuit. Since they vanished from my life without so much as a phone call, a letter, or a knock at the gate. I should feel free. But closure doesn't always come with a gavel or a headline. Sometimes it creeps in slowly or not at all. Until one day, it slams through your front door like it never left. That morning starts like any other. I'm walking the grounds of pad number 5 in Miami, cup of coffee in one hand, clipboard in the other, when my assistant Elena waves me over. "There's a guest waiting inside the reception tent," she says, her brow furrowed. She wouldn't give a name. Said you'd recognize her. I already know. Even before I walk through the door and see her standing there in a crisp linen blouse and oversized sunglasses, holding a designer handbag that probably costs more than my first mural wall. My sister. She smiles when she sees me. Like nothing happened. Like we're still the girls who used to play tag in the backyard before money and favoritism turned love into a competition. "Hi, Ava," she says, breathy and sweet. "You look amazing." I don't answer. I don't even blink. I just wait. Because I know what's coming. It's never, "I'm sorry." Not from them. And Brielle, for all her charm and soft edges, is still a product of them. She sits down at the edge of the lounge area and crosses her legs delicately. "I wanted to come see everything," she begins. "I've been following your story. The pads are amazing. You really did it, Ava." I say nothing. The silence stretches. Finally, she sighs. "Okay, I'll get to the point. Here it comes. Mom's been sick." I tilt my head slightly. That wasn't the angle I expected. She had a mild stroke a few months ago. She's okay now. But it scared her. It scared Dad, too. I feel something shift in my chest. Not sympathy. Not anger. Just recognition. That same fear I lived with when I was sleeping in my car. Only now it's knocking on their door. "She wants to see you," Brielle says. They both do. I let out a slow breath. So now that life's getting smaller, they remember I exist? She flinches, just a flicker. They regret what happened. Do they regret the villa? I ask. The laughter? The lawsuit? Brielle's eyes flicker away. "I'm not here to defend them," she says. "I'm here because I miss you. And I thought maybe, just maybe, you'd want a chance to hear them out. Before it's too late." Later that night, I sit on the balcony of my hotel suite, staring at the ocean. I don't know why I feel so hollow. I have everything they said I'd never have. More, even. And yet here I am, wondering if I should walk back into the fire, just to see if there's still anything left to salvage. Derek finds me out there. He doesn't say anything at first. Just sits beside me. Then he asks, "What do you want to do, Ava?" Not what's right. Not what's polite. Not what they deserve. Just what I want. It's the first time anyone's asked me that in years. I drive to their house the next weekend. It's surreal. The place looks smaller now. Weird how that happens, how power makes places shrink. My dad answers the door. He looks older. Grayer. Smaller, too. My mom is in the living room, propped up with pillows, holding a cup of tea she can barely lift. I don't hug them. I don't sit until I'm asked. They start talking right away, about the stroke, the fear, the estate planning. And then, of course, about the business. "How's it all going?" my mom asks softly. "Still growing." I stare at her. This woman who once said feeding my dream was like watering a weed. I take a slow breath. "It's going just fine," I say. My dad clears his throat. "We wanted to talk about the future. You know, estate stuff. We want things to be fair moving forward." I nearly laugh. Now that there's something to move forward with? They want fairness? "You're years too late for fairness," I say, voice calm. "But if you're asking whether I want a share of your estate, the answer is no. I don't need it. I built mine." My mom's lip trembles. "We were wrong, Ava." And finally, that phrase lands. Not because I needed to hear it, but because I know now that I didn't need them. I stand to leave. Brielle walks me to the car. "I meant what I said," she murmurs. "I miss you." I look at her. Really look. And I see a woman still wrapped in the idea that love must come with conditions. That family means enduring whatever's handed to you just to stay in the room. "I miss who we were," I say gently. "But I don't miss what we became." She nods. Eyes glassy. I get it. I believe her. But I still close the car door and drive away. A few months later, a journalist calls to tell me the city is recognizing me with an award for civic innovation. "Do you want us to include anything about your family's role in the business?" I smile. "No, thank you. This story belongs to me." Because that's what they never understood. They thought they gave me scraps. But in truth, they gave me a canvas. And I painted a future they'll never get to rewrite. They say the best view comes after the hardest climb. But no one tells you what it feels like to stand at the top alone. Not lonely. Just unaccompanied. The silence is different now. Not hollow, but full. Full of decisions I made, risks I took, people I chose not to become. Full of power they tried to take from me and failed. And now, on the cusp of another leap, I realize I'm no longer looking back. I'm finally looking forward. It's been 6 months since I walked out of that house for the last time. Since I left their regrets on the porch steps like forgotten mail. The city awarded me their annual Entrepreneur Impact Award. That was a surreal moment, standing on that stage, in front of investors, city officials, fellow founders, none of whom saw a security guard when they looked at me. No, they saw what I am now, a visionary. A builder. A survivor who created something from nothing. The irony? My old high school gym is hosting the local segment of the award ceremony. And I've been invited back as keynote speaker. I walk into that building and everything hits me at once. The bleachers. The dusty wooden floor. The way I used to sit in the far corner, sketching in my notebook while others laughed or practiced dance routines. I was invisible back then. Or worse, dismissed. And now, they're hanging a banner with my name on it. Ava Daniels, founder of the Pad Collective. It still doesn't feel real sometimes. But when I glance at my reflection in the glass trophy case, I remind myself, this isn't a dream. It's a result. I take the stage when they call my name. I'm wearing a crisp black jumpsuit, my hair pulled back, my confidence louder than any applause. And as I look out across the room, I spot them. My parents. Sitting in the back row. Not in the reserved section, not waving, not even making eye contact. Just watching. And that's all they can do now. Watch. I clear my throat and begin. When I was 18, I was given a gift. A plot of cracked pavement with nothing but weeds and oil stains. It wasn't meant as a gift. It was meant as a message. You get nothing, it said. You are nothing. But cracks let sunlight in. The room is silent, hanging on every word. I keep going. I turn that parking lot into my first revenue-generating concept. Not out of revenge. Not out of spite. But because necessity forced me to become someone I didn't know I could be. And now I thank the people who underestimated me. They taught me what I never want to become. After the ceremony, a few reporters ask if I'd be willing to talk about my humble beginnings. I smile. I'd rather talk about the future. Because it's bright. Because I built it myself. Because I own it. A week later, I get a letter in the mail. From Betrayal. It's handwritten, not typed. Just a single page. Ava, I know we won't ever go back to what we were, but I wanted you to know I see you now. Not the success. You. And I'm proud. I sold the villa. Bought a 2-bedroom downtown. I'm figuring out who I am without their version of me. Maybe one day we can talk. Love. B. I fold the letter and tuck it into my desk drawer. Not everything broken needs to be fixed. But some things? They deserve a second look. Maybe even a fresh start. A few months later, I walk the edge of my original parking lot, the one they gave me with a sneer and a joke. Now, it's home to our first international pad franchise. A hybrid of overnight modular suites, a co-working cafe, and a shipping container art gallery. The sign out front reads, "Welcome to Pad Zero, the place where stories start." And for the first time in years, I feel completely, unapologetically whole. I don't need a villa. I don't need their money. I don't even need their approval. Because the girl they once underestimated didn't just prove them wrong. She left them in the rearview mirror and built a highway forward. One with her name etched into every mile of concrete.